Hey trackies, welcome back to another video. Please remember to smash that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. That's how the video gets to the YouTube algorithm. Share the video if you care. I hope y'all care, so share. And yes, please sound off in the comment section below. Trackies, we're here. We are here. The World Championships beginning on the 13th of September. Now, the start list for the women's 100 meters are out, and trackies, we're going to see some exciting action, and some questions will be asked from the first round of the women's 100 meters, and I'm absolutely here for it. Now, trackies, let's dive into it. So, we have coming up in Heat 1 athletes to look out for, the likes of Melissa Jefferson Wooden, Zoe Hobbs, as well as Sada McCreath from Canada. So the world leader so far in 2025, Melissa Jefferson Wooden, and also the Olympic Games bronze medalist, is looking to start her campaign pretty strong here. I expect her to manage her round. I love her round management at the USA Track and Field Championships, and I'm expecting her to do the same here. No harm, no foul. Come out and dismantle this field as easy as possible and get ready for the women's semifinal. I do not believe she will be challenged, but as I said, I'm looking out for other athletes in this race as well. The likes of Zoe Hobbs, I'm expecting to possibly come in second in this particular race, and I'm keeping my eye on the Canadian as well, and that is Shade. I believe it's Shade McCreath, right? So let's jump over into where things get a bit more spicy trackies, and that is the Heat 2. Now, we have our Jamaican Tina Clayton. She's our national champion. She lines up in Heat 2. Now, along with her, we have Dina Asher Smith from Great Britain, as well as Rosemary Chakumo competing. So this one is going to be one of those races where maybe slightly a few questions will be asked, and we will see if the athletes, especially the top athletes in the race, will be able to respond. No, we all know Tina Clayton over the years. She has been a master when it comes to round management, and I literally expect the same here. She has been one of the forefront athletes this season, 10.81 seconds, only behind two athletes, really, and that is Julian Alfred as well as the world leader, as I said, Melissa Jefferson Wooden, right? So I expect her to come into this race, take this round as easy as possible, and take the win here, and qualify handily for the finals. Now things get interesting when you think about Dina Asher Smith and Rosemary Chakumo. The question now becomes, will Rosemary Chakumo challenge Dina Asher Smith for that second place, or will Dina be able to show her class in this race and run strong and get second place in this race? A 10.93 seconds so far this season versus an 11.03 seconds so far this season. So it will be interesting to see how both these athletes navigate the heat. But as I said, Tina Clayton goes away with the win. No harm, no foul, I believe, in this particular women's 100-meter heat. Let's spice things up a bit more, trackies, because guess what? We have the defending world champion that comes up in heat 3, but also we have the defending world champion in the 200 meters. So interestingly, the defending world champion in the 100 and the defending world champion in the 200 meet in the heat track is for the women's 100 meters. That is Sha'carri Richardson from the United States of America, and as well Shericka Jackson from Jamaica. But track is, they also have a couple athletes as well in this race that have been having pretty good seasons. We're talking about the likes of Anthea Charlton from Bahamas. She'll be running here as well. Gina Lukenkemper from Germany, also someone to keep your eyes on, as well as Tori Lewis from Australia. So track is, the athletes in this particular race, I believe, it will be potentially a better heat, or, more interesting heat, let's put it that way, than the prior heat, because of the number of athletes that are running competitive this season. But what makes things even more interesting is that both Sha'carri Richardson and Shericka Jackson so far in 2025 haven't been having the best seasons given their caliber, right? They're really high profile athletes. When running at their best, 10.65 seconds for both these athletes. So far this season, though, Sha'carri Richardson, 11.05 seconds, and Shericka Jackson, 10.88 seconds. Questions will definitely be asked in this particular racetrack, and the question now becomes, who will answer? Now, if I'm going anything by, what we know with MVP, Shericka Jackson may not necessarily go out into this race, right, to necessarily prove a point and try to win. I know Sha'carri Richardson is definitely going to go out in this race because we've seen her time and time again and how she runs. I believe she's going out into this race to prove a point and try to win this heat. Shericka Jackson, on the other hand, may not be thinking that. Let's go back to possibly 2021, when she competed against the likes of Marie Jose Talou, round by round to make it into the finals. Shericka Jackson did what was required, to make it into, the final rounds. Whilst, you had a few athletes that were going out there and probably doing a little bit too much and were not able to, replicate those times in the finals. So when I think about that type of Shericka Jackson and this Shericka Jackson, we're still in Tokyo. I'm like, okay, Shericka Jackson may not be thinking to do the most, but that doesn't mean that Shericka Jackson isn't capable of winning, right? So it's going to be interesting to see who asks the questions and who responds in this women's 100 meters, and literally it will give us a good indication of where we're expecting a Shericka Jackson to place in the women's 100 meters and Sha'carri Richardson as well in the women's 100 meters. Of course, I have Shericka Jackson as the dark horse. I believe, Stephen Francis, Paul Francis, they're coming with something. They have a surprise for us, and I can't wait to see what Shericka Jackson comes with. So, yes, I think this one is going to be very, very interesting, track is, as well as, the other athletes in the race that will be vying for the other qualification spots. It'll be interesting to see exactly how they navigate this particular round. Now, let's dive into heat 4 for this women's 100 meters, where we have Julian Alfred, coming up here. I believe that Julian Alfred will be able to navigate this particular heat, similar to how Melissa Jefferson Wooden, Tina Clayton navigate their heats. I don't believe they'll be challenged per se, and I do not believe Julian Alfred will be challenged in this particular race. So she goes away with an easy win, I believe. Here, you have to look up for the likes of Audrey Leduc, from Canada as well in this particular race. I believe she'll be the athlete that will come in second in this women's 100 meters. Now let's dive into Heat 5, where possibly this one could be hotly contested as well. Now we have the likes of Twanisha Terry as well as Daryl Nita that compete in this particular heat race. Now, I'm looking at Twanisha Terry to potentially walk away with the win here, given how she's run so far this season. 10.85 seconds to Daryl Nita's 11 seconds on the nose. However, I have to say that, Tonisha Terry hasn't been giving me consistent in 2025. So it'll be interesting to see how these athletes navigate this particular heat. Also, keep your eyes on the likes of Takax from Hungary as well as Selva Davis from Liberia, right? Those are the athletes to keep your eyes on. But I definitely think that overall, Tonisha Terry should be able to, take the win here with Daryl Nita coming in for second. As I said, keeping your eyes on, Takax from Hungary as well as Thelma Davis from Liberia. So jumping on over into Heat 6 trackies, and this one could possibly be closely contended, though I expect Kayla White to be able to manage this round effectively and win and save something for the semifinal into the final. Now, with her, we have the likes of, Zaneb Dasso, as well as Leah Bertrand. We have Amy Hunt, Destiny Barnett Smith. So there are a number of athletes that are really closely stacked together in terms of performances in 2025. So this one will be hotly contested, but I believe that Kayla White stands, head and shoulders above the rest of the athletes. So she should be able to navigate this one with ease. I believe that Amy Hunt is the other athlete to really keep your eyes on in this particular race. But Destiny Barnett Smith is there, Leah Bertrand is there, Zainab Dasso is there. So you never really know which way it's going to swing. But I believe that 1-2 will be Kayla White and Amy Hunt. Let's see how that goes. Now, jumping into the final heat track is where we're going to be seeing two stalwarts in the sport. Of course, the greatest 100-meter sprinter of all time, Shelly Fraser Price, take to action or take to the track for the final time. in her career. She retires at the end of 2025, really, at the end of the World Championships, right? So she's looking to go out with an absolute bang. Of course, we've seen a snippet of her online and she looks really good. Now, I talked about her saving her best for last and getting back down into 10-8. By the time we get to the World Championships, it is given. Shelly and Fraser Price will be able to give us that 10-8. Now, with her, Marie Jose Talou, an athlete that has actually clocked 10.87 so far this season. So Shelly Fraser Price's fastest time 10.91. Marie Jose Talou Smith fastest time this season 10.87. So this one will be hotly contested. The question now becomes, who wants to go for it? Who is going to say, I'm going for the win, or who is going to say, I'll just take it easy and make sure I'm in a qualification position, right? When I think about it that way, I'm going to say Marie Jose Talou Smith is going for the win. I'm going to say Shelly Fraser Price is going to take it as easy as possible, make sure that she's in a qualification position, right? That's my thought process when it comes to this women's 100 meters. It's not one of those years, I believe, where Shelly Fraser Price is head and shoulders, above everyone else. When we think about her personal best in the women's 100 meters, 10.60, she is a class athlete. But what type of Shelly Fraser Price is going to show up at the World Championships, yet to be seen. I believe she takes it as easy as possible. Make sure that she's in a qualification position, not necessarily first place. Marie Jose Talou Smith will be there. Also, we have to keep our eyes on the likes of Patricia van der Weeken as well. She'll be, coming for a position, as well as possibly, Alonso from Dominica, right? So those are the athletes that I believe that you could keep your eyes on for the women's 100 meters. But trackies, as I said, with tactics now in play when it comes to who places where in the women's 100 meters, it definitely makes things very, very interesting for the actual semifinals. Because if we have the likes of a Shelley and Fraser Price possibly placing second, depending on, how they choose to compete, or maybe a Shericka Jackson placing second, depending on how they choose to compete, it means that for those semifinals, we're going to have a semifinal of absolute death where possibly, depending on the amount of athletes that are placed in that particular semifinal race, someone may not make it through because there are possibly not enough lanes for so many athletes to make it in out of one semifinal. So that's the crutch when it comes to navigating heats. You have to make sure that you win so that you are placed in a best possible position to navigate to the finals, right? So if you don't win, you find yourself stacked in races that have multiple athletes that are of the same caliber for that particular season, which makes things harder to navigate to the finals, which is what most of these athletes potentially do not want. Don't get me wrong, if you're confident in your shape and what you can deliver, then it may not matter. But if you're not, then something even spicier may happen in that semifinals. And I can't wait to see the action. Track is, of course, I'll be here live, TXC track time with y'all. So, of course, we'll be watching the action blow by blow. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.